Good morning. Today is January the 14th, 2021. 14 days into the new and highly anticipated new year for new beginnings. Dreams and hopes are very positive feelings to have during these trying times. Most days I think I'm coping well. And then I look around at the 10 projects I started this morning with no forethought of what I needed to complete them. It was just a good idea at the moment. It's probably just disorganization and a lackadaisical attitude. Tomorrow is a new day. On the positive side, our Mudtown committee is busy preparing to place on-perishables in coolers outside the church on Mondays for those in need of food to share with their families. Thank you, Carol and Marion, for organizing this very valuable project. Yesterday, I listened to Premier Ford announce a further lockdown, encouraging people to stay safe and not circulate in or outside their communities unless absolutely necessary. This is a big challenge. We are creatures of habit and not unlike sheep who love to wander. I thought of my father today and how he knew what to do when the cattle and the sheep wandered. The cattle he just fed. One word to our collie dog, Laddie, and he rounded up the sheep without touching them. It almost became a game amongst them, daring one another. But as darkness came, they were all in the barn and safe for another night. We need to think about how we can encourage our friends, neighbors, and family members to stay close and be safe. And now I have rambled long enough. Our psalm today is Psalm 18, verses 1 to 20. It is entitled, A Storm. I love you, Lord, my strength. The Lord is my rock, my fortress and my deliverer. My God is my rock in whom I take refuge, my shield and the horn of my salvation, my stronghold. I call to the Lord who is worthy of praise, and I have saved from my enemies. The cords of death entangled me. The torrents of destruction overwhelmed me. The cords of the grave coiled around me. The snares of death confronted me. In my distress, I called to the Lord. I cried to my God for help. From his temple, he heard my voice. My cry came before him into his ears. The earth trembled and quaked, and the foundations of the mountains shook. They trembled because he was angry. Smoke rose from his nostrils. Consuming fire came from his mouth. Burning coals blazed out of it. He parted the heavens and came down. Dark clouds were under his feet. He mounted the cherubim and flew. He soared on the wings of the wind. He made darkness his covering, his canopy around him. The dark rain clouds of the sky. Out of the brightness of his presence, clouds advanced, with the hailstones and bolts of lightning. The Lord thundered from heaven. The voice of the Most High resounded. He shot his arrows and scattered the enemy. With great bolts of lightning, he routed them. The valleys of the sea were exposed and the foundations of the earth laid bare at your rebuke, Lord, as the blast of your breath from your nostrils. He reached down from on high and took hold of me. He drew me out of deep waters. He rescued me from my powerful enemy. But my foes, who were too strong for me, they confronted me in the day of my disaster, but the Lord was my support. He brought me out into a spacious place. He rescued me because he delighted in me. The Lord was dealt with me according to my righteousness, according to the cleanness of my hands, he has rewarded me. The word of the Lord. Now we all know there are some pretty amazing events recorded in the Old Testament. The creation of everything by God in 6 days. The flood, Joshua's battle when the sun stood still. But something is amiss. We know that smoke has never literally gone up out of God's mouth. God the Father is without a body. He is a spirit. So why is it written in this song? I think because David, the poet, wanted to express God's awesome power. Let's think about this for a moment. The fact that enemies attack and oppress his people doesn't leave God unaffected. No, he's angry about it. And yes, God is affected by our misery and suffering too, because he is always with us. This story is about how David sees God. Our love of and how we see God is a very personal feeling that only we understand. God is with us as we struggle through these days ahead. Feel his strength and guidance. Be safe and well as we journey into, hopefully, with the end in sight of this pandemic. God bless.